Cashmaniacs.
GeoGearHeads.
Thanks for joining us for the 23rd beta episode of GeoGearHeads. Tonight we're talking about gear for your bicycle. I'm the bad cop with Daryl W4, and once again we're testing the Google Hangout on-air feature. So welcome to those of you watching us live.
Now the Hangout on-air feature also gets posted to YouTube immediately following the recording. The MP3 version is edited and tweaked and sounds a lot better because we record that locally rather than having YouTube do it for us. So that takes about a day or so to go out because I have to go and put it all together. We've had about a quarter of the number of views for last week's YouTube videos though, as we've had downloads of the MP3 file, so it seems like people are really liking these unedited videos. Now you might recall that we've been waiting for the Hangout on Air feature to roll out as the last part of our initial strategy for the GeoGearHeads, so we're really pleased to actually start using and testing this final piece. There are many little and, well, not so little things we need to work out, and tonight it took us almost 20 minutes to actually get on the air with Google Hangouts, so we're nowhere near ready to remove that beta tag yet, but even yet we'd really like to know what you think of the streaming option. So please drop us an email So please drop us an email with your thoughts about the live streaming, the YouTube videos, or whatever really, at geogearheads@cashmaniacs.com through social media, or of course you can always call those in at 206-350-3647.
Of course, we'd love to hear your thoughts on any topics that we've discussed or plan to discuss. So contact us with your questions, comments, insurrections, whatever you want, points of interest, anything else you'd like to share. Next week, we're talking about gearing up your RV, though tonight we're talking about gear for your bike, which, Daryl, by the way, you could put on the back of the RV.
Yes, you could, and that's always a nice way to travel.
It really is. I know bikes are one of Daryl's favorite topics, but Daryl, didn't we just do another show with yourself, X-Punk X, Calvin Jones of Park Tools recently about taking bikes caching?
Yeah, we did. That was on the Geocaching podcast, episode 250, and that was on bike maintenance, which is a completely different subject, and I really recommend that show for cachers who want to hit the trail with their bikes to get some background on some of the basics that you might have forgotten about. And it was one of those shows that even I learned a bunch from because I'm not a maintenance professional, for one.
But tonight we're talking about adding gear to the bike. And obviously, the most obvious is a means to mount your GPSR or even smartphone so it can be used while riding.
Of course, and some of the GPSR manufacturers have their own mounts, and those tend to be compact and easy to install. Their big problem, from what I've heard and seen, is that they generally lack adjustments, and they're not necessarily as rugged as some of the other options. So as you're riding, they might be a little bit harder to read, and they might come loose. And unfortunately, I do know someone who had one of the manufacturer mounts where it completely came off the bike and GPS went rolling along the side of the road and worked, but was not in such good condition afterward.
That's a real shame.
It is.
A real shame.
Now, most of the cachers I know use the RAM mounts, and these are, we've talked about them, I think, a few times before for car mounts and just about anything you could, any vehicle you wanted, boat, plane, car, truck, whatever, they're going to have it. They have the bicycle mounts and they have the motorcycle mounts. And one thing that I will mention here is you really need to make sure that you're getting the right handlebar size if that's where you're going, because they do have handlebars of different sizes for bikes and even for motorcycles, so that's something that you have to look out for. But those are really my favorite options for your GPSR. They're nice, they're rugged, they give you some options including variable size arms, and that's where I really find most of my adjustments with my GPS come in handy, because I can take that arm and stick it up above and over to the side. I don't know about most of you guys listening, but my bike has so many things on the handlebars. I've got the obviously the brakes, the shifters. I've got the cycle computer. I've got the I can't think of the name for it.
The horn
lights.
and the little bell?
I don't have a horn or a little bell, which,
okay.
quite honestly, I need to get one of those things, too. But
now,
no,
do you have
lights.
streamers coming off the handles?
No, but you know what? I really want those, and there's actually a set of tires that I really want that have LEDs in the tires.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Oh, those are very cool. And I don't know if they've actually shipped or not. It was a Kickstarter project last year, and I haven't looked back into that, but boy,
I saw those. I didn't know those were in the tires. I thought that was something you added to the spokes.
There are some of those that are added to the spokes as well, but the ones that I really liked were the ones in the tires, because those were just really, really neat and didn't have the balance issues that you run into with putting stuff on your spokes.
Oh, we might be getting a little off topic. However,
indeed we are. Well, hey, we're talking about geeking out your bike, I guess. So it's all fair.
Exactly.
But yeah, they do make over at Ram Mount some stuff for like the iPads for your iPhone. So if you really wanted to take your iPad on your bike and put it on your handlebars, you could probably figure out something over there to do it. But really, when it comes to things like the smartphones, I found a number of other options that I really like better than the stuff that you're going to get from Ram Mount, because Ram Mounts is just looking to generally hold whatever you're sticking into it. And some of these options for your bike, for your smartphone mounting, actually do act as a case. And these, for the most part, are going to be full cases that give you that weather protection that we really want for caching, as well as some protection in case you take a nasty spill, which I've done, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. The one that I use on both of my bikes, and I just have a different mounting arm, is actually from Biologic. And they have the bike mount for iPhone 4, which also works on the 3G and 3GS with an optional insert. When I got it, it was the full kit and cost a little bit more than it does now, but it's in, now you have to pay extra to get that extra insert that they gave me for free. But it's only $50, which is not bad for a nice case. And this is the one that I took a nasty spill on my old road bike, which actually pretty much did in my old road bike. It was an old bike that needed some work coming up, and by the time I took the spill, it was going to cost me more to fix that bike than to just replace it. But the bike mount for the iPhone 4 did take the spill, no problems, no issues whatsoever with the iPhone itself. So I just transferred that whole thing to the new bike, and it's still working perfectly. And one of the things that makes some of these cases better than others, and this is one of the problems that I'll have with even like the RAM mounts too, it's generally best if you have one of these type of mounts for some kind of detachment point, where should you take a spill, should it get bumped really hard, in most cases you're going to be better off to have that snap off than to have it broken off. So that's one of the things I like about the Biologic mounts, is that they do have a very secure coupling, but it wasn't so secure that it held on to it too strong and broke stuff in the end. So that's the one that I actually use, is that bike mount for the iPhone 4. It's nice because it is weather tight. It has little rubber stoppers at the holes for the headphones and for the charging cable. So if you wanted to run a charging cable out the bottom and power your phone from battery, or we'll get into a little bit later with a listener question on a little generator on the bike, you can do that with this case. Now what I actually do is have one of the Wahoo Fitness keys so that I can tie into the sensor on my bike and my heart rate monitor as well. So you can actually fit some of that kind of stuff in with some modifications to the Wahoo Fitness key, I was able to make that work. But it's nice because that actually has some space in there for the dock connector, so you can do something. It's not like a lot of these weatherproof cases, which don't have any provisions whatsoever for that 30-pin dock connector.
Right. So what you're saying is, should you take a spill, it's good to have a mount that is going to, what should we say, eject the phone before it just skids a quarter mile along the road?
Yeah, exactly. Or, files down the phone in the case.
Yep.
Now, there is another case from these guys for the iPhone called the Recharge case, and this is the one that I'd really like to get. And because if you're looking for, it does have the internal battery, but if you're looking for actually charging the phone while it's on the bike, whether it be from a dyno or running USB power cable to the saddlebag with batteries or whatever, this one has an internal battery and connections in the mount to charge, so you don't have any extra cables coming off the phone itself. And all you have to do if you want to go out, and this is one of the other nice things about having that quick release mount, is you slide that whole phone right out in its case and everything for caching or whatnot. So with this one, you've got that battery pack as well, but it does cost $100, so it's a little bit more. You think about it as far as a case with a battery, though, that's not too bad.
That's true. And, you're in your case, you're running a fitness app and running the geocaching app or a geocaching app. So you've probably got 2, if not 3 things going at one time with location services. That's going to drain that battery pretty quick. And having something to recharge that is important.
Absolutely. Now, to give you an idea, with my iPhone 4, I'm generally able to go about 4 hours with the screen on and listening to podcasts and before I kill the internal battery. So there is some time there. It's not as killer as you might think. Okay. But you don't want to drain your battery that low typically anyway, to the point that it's shutting off, because then you're losing that safety net.
Exactly.
So it is very nice option to have. But what I do right now is I just plug in the power cable and charge up from a battery, because I've got those USB batteries. It's nice and easy. It's cheap because I've already got them. So it's that's a nice option. Now, this just came out, and I'm really excited to see this. The bike mount for Android. Now, this one's only $45. It's very different from the case that I have from them. But it also requires purchase of an insert for either the Samsung Galaxy S2, HTC Desire HD, the Evo 4G, or the Inspire 4G, the Samsung Galaxy S and LG Optimus X2, and the HTC Sensation. So you have to buy those inserts separately, and those are each about $10. So it's going to end up costing you more than the iPhone 4 case, but still, I'm really excited to see that, because I want that.
Well, and that looks like it gives you some more functionality down the road. Apple's going to come out with a new iPhone soon, and that may not fit your iPhone 4 bike mount. So in this case, if you're going with the bike mount for Android, as new phones are developed, I'm sure they're making new inserts so you can extend the life of that mount. Yeah,
and the nice thing is with the iPhone 4 mount, there is enough similarity between the iPhone 4 and the 4S that you don't have to worry about it on those as much. Before we move on, though, we actually have a comment on the Hangout from our good friend Nighthawk 700 that says, with all of those things on your bike, it almost sounds like a problem with distracted drivers. And that is actually something to be very careful, is if you're actually trying to drive your bike, ride your bike, with like the maps on your GPS or on your phone, be very careful that you're not staring down at those. It will completely take your eyes off the road, and I've almost run into something a couple of times as I was trying to cache on a trail, and just trying to figure out what's going on, because a lot of these, and we'll talk probably a little bit more about this later on as well, a lot of these units, especially like the Oregon, has been very, very tough to read because you just can't get the brightness up high enough on that screen without some kind of power for the backlight. So keep in mind, you have to kind of plan where you're going, you know where you're going in advance, so that you don't have to be staring at that screen, because when you're on your bike, it is a lot harder than in the car where you have a nice mount where it's right in your field of vision. This is going to be down on the handlebars, so it is a lot more difficult to actually keep an eye on where you're going.
And with any vehicle, the bike is a vehicle, you need to pay attention to what you're doing, not looking at a screen.
Absolutely. And one of the nice things with bikes, it's generally a lot easier than with a car to just find a spot to pull over and put your foot down for a moment. So, if you do have to pull over and take a look, make sure to do that. Now,
I personally have the mount for the Oregon, the bicycle mount for it. And, it works well. As you say, there's not a lot of adjustment. Obviously, it's sitting on a round chunk of tubular metal, so you can adjust it up and down all you want. But there's not much side to side. And, when you're riding the bike, you're getting so many different light levels and from different angles that you're right. The Oregon screen is almost unreadable.
Yeah, and that's the big problem that I have with almost all of these smartphone mounts that we've been talking about, is they only will adjust in the direction that you can rotate it on the handlebars. Most of these will allow for either horizontal or vertical mounting of the phone. The thing that I like about the ones that we were just talking about from Biologic is it actually rotates while it's on there. It actually clicks into position, so you don't have to do much. Some of these, you actually have to mount it the way that you want it mounted. You have no options once it's mounted. Other ones you have to undock, we'll call it, the case that it comes with, and then redock the case for whatever orientation you want. But those RAM mounts that we were talking about, that's what I have for my 6D, for my PN60, my Oregon, my Colorado. That thing is awesome because it has, I actually have, I think, 2 different size arms. I have 2-inch and a 3-inch arm. So that gives you a lot more play because each side of that arm has a ball joint.
Right.
So I can rotate it any which way. I can move that because of that nice arm, like up over to the side. I can tilt it and kind of get it out of the sun. So if I didn't have that, I would really be at a loss trying to use the iPhone, or not the iPhone, but the Oregon.
The Oregon, or
on
whatever
the bike.
GPS.
Yeah.
Now, the RAM, for instance, makes a whole lot of pieces. You can put together whatever kind of kit you need for the device you have.
Absolutely. And the nice thing, too, is with the RAM, you can, in most cases, just replace the actual clip type device for your GPS or for your smartphone and use that on the same system that you already had. So we've gone through, we'll say, like 6 different mounts for the GPSs on our bikes, and it's always been the same units, the same handlebar mounts, the same arms, and we just swap those in and out. We'll buy different ones. So if I want to take in my 6D CSX out today, I just put that unit on. If I want to take the Delorme out, I just put that unit on. So that's nice, too, in that if you have multiple devices, and I do know a number of cachers have more than one device, and they'll have a favorite one for going out caching, and they'll have another one that they prefer because it supports, like, where I go.
Right.
So if you've got a situation like that, it does give you the flexibility to swap out your units.
Right. And I have to say, the RAM mounts are interchangeable between the pieces of the RAM mount are interchangeable between the automotive application and the bike application.
Yeah, in many cases you'll actually have to remove the ball that you use for the bike and put it onto a different mount for the automotive. But I've also seen some of the automotives that still use that ball joint. So they have a really cool system that allows for a lot of interoperability. I really do like them, but problem for like the smartphones is the smartphones are more fragile. You want a case typically on that smartphone. So that's where that really has that discrepancy. And like we were talking about, most of these cases have that weatherproofing. I've been out in downpours on my bike, not really that I wanted to be, but I've done that, and the phone is perfectly dry, even with using the corded headset on it. So I've just been astounded at how well the Biologic case that I have works. And I have one of the older ones, but still I can't recommend these highly enough with my experience on it. You know, I've only had it for a little over a year, maybe like 2 years almost, I guess. And it's been on 3 different bikes and has been just really awesome. Now, another one for the iPhone that is actually available from like the Apple Store too is iBike, and this is one I've been hearing a lot more about. I actually tried buying one of these last year to put on my new bike because they have some really cool systems. The most basic version of it, though, is what they call the iBike phone booth. It's only about $60, and it's just basically a waterproof case for your phone to attach to your bike.
Okay.
That's it. I can't say that I really like their case, but it's not bad. It's a durable case, and a lot of people do like that one. I don't like that one nearly as much as I like my Biologic, and that one doesn't have really any options whatsoever. Now the next step up, which is the one that I actually tried, was the i-CC, and this comes in different kits, and it will range anywhere from $170 to about $550.
Wow.
This is a full cycle computer kit. It has some of the circuitry inside to connect to things like the heart rate monitors. If you get those bigger kits, they'll come with the sensors for your wheels. It has software that you can download to do mapping of your ride, which I didn't really like the software, which was part of the problem with it. And it didn't want to talk with my heart rate monitor, which is just a standard ant heart rate monitor. So that's one of the things that I didn't like about it. And the other cool thing, though, on the iDash is it does have an optional battery that you can slide in there. So you can get your batteries from iDash, charge them up, pop them in there, and you do have a little bit of extra power.
That's nice. If you're doing a full cycling computer, I'm sure it's burning through that power for you.
Yeah, and especially with the way that those work. They also have another package that's a little bit more intense and not, from what I can tell, really designed for trail use. It's called Powerhouse, and this is for the really serious cyclists to measure the power. This is a big system that, as a cacher, you're probably not going to want. So we'll kind of ignore that one.
Well, next on the list are some units from Delta Cycle. They have the smartphone caddy for about $28.
Yeah, now the nice thing is that this is one device. It's not multiple devices. And they do have a new version coming out, supposedly, with support for more phones. But this one is very cool because it supports all of these different devices. And it's only $28. You want to give us a list of the ones that they currently support?
Sure. We have the iPhone 3G through the 4S, BlackBerry Bold, Curve, Tour, and Torch, HTC Rhythm and Trophy, LG Ally, Enlighten, and Phoenix, Motorola Droid Pro, Palm Pixie Plus and Pre 2, Pantech Burst and Crossover, Samsung Captivate, Captivate Glide, Focus, Flash, and Illusion, and the Xperia Play.
Now this is one I actually found at one of the local bike shops, and they like them. It's not a rugged case. This is more just take your phone, slap it in, and commute with it. But it's only $28.
Now,
for that, it's worth just getting that if you want to take your phone with you so that you have a nice spot to drop it.
Now, is it waterproof?
No, all this one is
it's just a series. It's just two.
It's basically
claws?
2 pieces that go around your phone, and then it has like a rubber band, I'll call it, to actually hold that together and hold it on the bike.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know that this would necessarily take some of the off-road trails and things like that so well, but for $28, it's a nice, inexpensive solution that you might want to take a look at, and it does support a broader range of phones, and they have a new version coming out that's going to support even more.
I'm seeing it now. It does look pretty good, and it looks flexible enough that it should hold these and some of the newer phones coming out on the market.
Yeah, and that's what I really like about this one is that flexibility. And, for the price and the flexibility, I think it's one to seriously take a look at. And I've actually considered buying one and just trying it out for the heck of it because it's $28, something I can pass off to one of my friends and say, hey, how does it work?
Raffle gift at a local event.
Yeah, exactly. The next one on the list is one I found at the local computer store, which is the Joy Factory Storm Cruiser for iPhone 4 and 4S. This looks like it's a nice case. I haven't had a chance to actually get my hands on it, only on the package. But it's one, again, designed to really protect your phone. It takes a little bit of a beating. It takes the rain. For $49, it's right in the same price point as the Biologic. I'd be interested if someone actually has one to hear what it's like, but definitely seems like another one that you can try out.
Yeah, and again, it's a basic clamshell, goes over the phone, lets you access the screen, but it looks like it will take some bumps and bruises. Yeah,
it's again another one that's designed for heavier usage. Now, most people who are into bikes are going to know the name Topeak. And these guys make all kinds of tools and things for your bicycling. Well, they've also gotten into the phone bike mount things. Unfortunately, right now, they only have iPhone accessories. They have the phone dry bag for only $30. It's really, really basic. I'm not really a fan of it. I think I'd almost rather have that Delta than the phone dry bag, but it is a dry bag, so it does give you some protection from the dirt and sand and things. And we talked about the dry bags before as a way to protect your smartphone while you're out on the trail anyway. So this is just another one of those that happens to mount to a bike. They also have a new case, though, coming out called the Ride Case. This one I don't have any pricing on. I couldn't find it anywhere yet. But the thing I find most interesting about this one is that it's a lightweight carbon fiber mount. It's like they really went to try to get a stable case that doesn't weigh much. So I think this is really something more for the road cyclists, the guys who aren't going to be taking the bumps that you go through over some kind of off-road trail. Not necessarily something for cachers, but it is an interesting case to look at.
Now, I didn't see any waterproofing on that. It looks like the phone just snaps in.
Absolutely. That
so
is
you want to be careful with that.
It's just a cage. It doesn't have any case whatsoever. So yeah, that's not one for the serious elements. It's not one for the minor elements. It's one if you're out on a sunny day riding and taking the streets the whole way. Of course, we haven't gotten our hands on it to really know for sure, but that's my impression from what I've seen of it. Now, there's one more that I want to mention because I actually grabbed one of these off of Newegg on a sale, which is, I think I'm going to pronounce this wrong, but I'm going to try anyway. It's Ibera, and they have more of those dry bag type of cases. They have a number of different options out there, so check it out and see if there's one that you'd like that might be compatible with your phone. But these are dry bags, so they're kind of that same thing. They're not really as comfortable and easy to use, and I do kind of worry about taking these things out on the trail and taking a spill with it because you will probably destroy your phone. Right, I think so. Now, Daryl, we have feedback from Herschenroder, and he sent us this feedback via Google+. I've been looking for a way to charge my GPS using the motion of the bike wheel. I'm not sure if it's overkill to buy or build that just to get an external rechargeable power bar. Is there anything new on the market? Been about a year since I worked on the idea last. Yeah, now this is a very cool thing, and I've actually sent an email to Biologic to see if we can get them into talk about it, because we were talked about that recharge case. Well, that actually is designed to hook in with a Dynamo hub, which you can get from them for a 20-inch wheel set, and this gets really complicated because they have different hubs for different size wheels, and blah blah blah. And it looks like from them the complete kit is going to cost you about $200. So it isn't very cheap. There's a kit that I found. I have no idea if it's any good or not, from Bike2Power, and it's about $80 for a complete kit that has the holder, the battery, and a hub. So that one might be worth looking at.
That might be not bad.
Yeah, but it seems like the big guys that have the best stuff out there for the dynamos right now is Schmidt Maschinenbau, which I'm sure I mispronounced that. Maschinenbau? Yeah, Bio? Okay. They do have, well, and it's a German company. You go to the page, it's in German. They do have an English link in there, but man, they've got some nice looking stuff. I have no idea what would work or not, but these do get complicated. It does involve a lot of extra stuff, and my personal feeling when I've looked at this, because I do like it, it's adding a level of complexity. Granted, I like charging it up, and if you're doing something like touring, it's probably worth it, or maybe even if you're doing a commute ride. And a lot of the new bikes that are built for commuters have the dynamos built in to take care of the lights on the bike, and they'll actually have some kind of USB power connector available so that you can charge your cell phone while you're riding. But for just most of us who aren't commuting on a daily basis, we're not doing the touring where we're out for a week or two living off of our bike, I would really just prefer to have a nice external battery pack. You can easily, on most bikes, take the USB cable and run it across your top bar to your phone on your handlebars, and put the battery in back, underneath your seat, or in a trunk if you have a rear rack on there. So I think that that's really probably the most economical way to do it. It doesn't take the wheel power, but you can charge those up. It's cheap, it's easy, and it's versatile because you can use that on or off the bike.
Right. Now, coming up in the month of July, so next month, right here we have what we call the Seattle to Portland, or the STP bike run. It's a 2-day run, about 180 miles, and it's a lot of fun. And having something to power your phone would be really nice.
Yeah, and the other place I'd really like to have that is we have a run out here called ODRAM, 1-day ride across Michigan. You go from one side of the state to the other side of the state, and I want to say it's about a 140-mile ride in 1 day.
That's decent.
Yeah, I want to try that sometime, but I need to get a lot better at riding than I am right now.
So, Daryl, let's say you want to go do, I don't know, let's say the ET Highway this summer, and you're thinking about doing it on your bike. Would solar panels work?
That's a very good question, but I don't know. There are a number of the solar options out there right now, and for something like the ET Highway, I would assume that they would be able to work. You just have to get a rear rack on there and try it out, see if you can get enough power.
Yeah, there are several little cases that have, like a solar back to them. A small solar panel on the back of the case. You could leave it face down and charge, but that wouldn't work so well while you're riding.
No. Yeah, and the problem with the solar panels typically is they need bigger surface area. So, if you could figure out a way to strap them onto the rear rack, your trunk on your bike, because if you're going to do something like the ET Highway, you're going to need that trunk anyway just for water. Exactly. But yes, if you can strap it there, exactly. Yeah. So, if you're going to strap it on there, you probably would be able to do that. I'm not sure that it would be able to keep up with the drain with the screen on, but it'd be worth trying probably.
It would help at least.
Yeah. Now, we do have a lot more that we wanted to talk about, but we are running long, so I think we're going to wrap it up with this first part of a comment from DeBear talking about his biking with GPSs. And he says, as far as my bike rig is concerned, when I cache via bike, I use 2 GPSs. One is my 60 CSX on a RAM mount, and the other is my Montana. I prefer caching with my Montana, but I don't have a mount for it, which is why I use both. It actually works pretty well. Now, I think what he's actually talking about there is, I've done this too, where I'll actually have one GPS that I keep on my bike when I'm doing like a rail trail kind of thing, where it's a lot of stop and go.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll have my other GPS that I like better, but might have, might be a nicer unit to cache with, but not have as bright a screen. Like that 60 CSX had a great screen on the bike, but the Oregon didn't. So I'll keep the 60 CSX on the bike and throw my Oregon in a backpack or in the rear trunk, and then just leave the 60 on the bike, take the Oregon out, and I go caching with the Oregon and have the 60 on the bike. Problem becomes making sure that no one happens to walk away with it.
Exactly.
And that's actually his next question, but we'll have to hold that for the next installment. All right. So with that, we're going to wrap up this episode. Check the Cachemaniacs website at Cachemaniacs.com for more on the GeoGearHeads, including show notes for this and all of our episodes. We love hearing from our listeners, so leave us feedback by calling 206-350-3647, by email, GeoGearHeads@Cachemaniacs.com, or through social media. Your support helps keep the Cachemaniacs shows coming. Please consider making a PayPal donation through the link on the website to support the Cachemaniacs shows. GeoGearHeads is produced by Chris Umfenauer and Daryl Wanberg. This show is copyright 2012 by Daryl Wanberg, all rights reserved.
Guess we're the Cachemaniacs!
Clear.